Welcome to the Business Excellence for Managers podcast. This program is for you if you work in a company and have a management role with or without business excellence expertise. Every week, I will give you insights and experiences from nearly 22 deployment programs in various companies in different business sectors. Having worked for many years as a senior consultant and more than a decade and a half in large multinational corporations as Chief Quality Officer, I would like to share with you my experiences in business excellence, employee motivation, customer satisfaction, cost reduction, revenue growth, process improvement, process efficiency, effectiveness, and quality. I know you are busy, so I will keep these weekly podcasts short and sweet. Once a month, you'll hear about best practices and lessons learned from executives from around the world. In case you're listening to this while driving, commuting, walking, jogging, or anywhere else where you cannot take notes, no worries. I included a free download with key learning nuggets and the recommended action points. You can implement them and see if you notice a difference. You will find a link to this freebie in the show notes. This podcast is sponsored by Wave Business Excellence Footprint, an environmentally friendly online training company that cares about your employees' development and your business performance. Today, I'm thrilled to tell you about 4 steps I applied to get everyone on board and reduce resistance every time I started a new initiative or program in the organization. This is something I've done repeatedly for global Lean Six Sigma initiatives, continuous improvement programs, innovation program, quality initiative, CSR program, business excellence, and more. No matter what kind of initiative or program you develop, there is always an easy road and a bumpy road. It would be a shame to take the bumpy road because you do not want to waste time, resources, and money. On top of that, there is the aspect of employee motivation. If we constantly take the bumpy road and have a lot of resistance from different areas of the organization, we will be forcing our way through. And when the program is deployed, everyone will be glad it's over and will already be frightened when the next initiative comes around the corner. That's why you need to make sure that you do each implementation as good as possible, taking the less bumpy road to success. This way, everyone will associate your ideas, your projects, and programs with positive emotions that are linked to positive outcomes. Okay, enough said about bumpy and less bumpy roads. Now, what is the trick to having a less bumpy road? Step number 1. Find out who are the people, teams, or even areas of the organization where you know you will find innovators. These are the ones who have the latest model of phones, own the latest technology and gadgets, use the most advanced applications, and love to try new things. They are usually driven by curiosity, enjoy change, and continuous improvement. According to my previous experience, this represents about 10% of your staff. Depending on your timeline, I do not recommend deploying new initiatives in a big bang fashion, meaning everywhere and everyone at once. The path of less resistance is to start implementing together with the innovators. Here, you won't have to spend too much time convincing them to participate in the new initiative, because that's how these people operate. They are open to change and want to be part of something new. Since you're not spending your energy and resources on convincing everyone, you can spend now more time viewing this part of the deployment as your pilot phase. This means that this is like your beta phase, where you test for the first time and observe what needs to be improved. What is very important about step 1 is that you can already report the first progress, the first successes that result from the pilot phase. These will be used as success stories. Then you should create a nice summary of the before and after results from the pilot phase. Here is the time when marketing and communication will go hand in hand, because they should wrap up this pilot phase with standing ovations, showing the return on investment that came out of this beta phase. In case the results were not so good, then it is time to find the root cause and ask yourself a serious question. Were the results good enough in the pilot phase so we can progress and execute to the next implementation step and replicate the structure of this beta phase for a larger group in the company? If the answer is yes, then you're ready for step 2. If the answer is no, then it's time to find action steps to fix the current situation. If it can be fixed, then great, we can move on to step 2. If it cannot be fixed, then you will need to seriously evaluate whether it's worth the time, money, and effort to continue with the initiative. This phase 1 with the innovators can take anywhere between 4 and 12 months, depending on the complexity of the initiative you are rolling out. Step 2. Now that you have completed the pilot phase with 10% of your employees, which are the innovators, with good outcome, and you have the before and after results and the testimonials from the people who worked with you in phase 1, it is time to communicate all of this to the second group of people. Now it is time to identify who your early adopters are. In my experience, they make up to about 40% of your employees. These are the kind of people that do not want to be the first to try things out or won't buy the latest technology right away. But when they see something working well and hear positive feedback from innovators, then they are open to jumping on board and taking the opportunity. They are not risk takers as the first group because they will only jump on new topics if they know it works successfully. That is why it is so important to create a nice marketing and communication package after the beta phase, which is your pilot phase. Now it's time to take the lessons learned and apply the optimized deployment to the second group, which is the early adopters. Because you have identified the early adopters, you again do not need to spend a lot of time and energy creating extensive stakeholder analysis charts and finding ways to persuade people to be part of the program because you are addressing the early adopters. You do not need to worry much about getting their buy-in or acceptance, as they are the group that will naturally participate in the program. It can take about 12 months to complete this phase, depending on how complex the initiative is and how many people are involved. Another factor to consider is whether the scope of the deployment is for a company with 250,000 employees or a company with 50 employees. Next consideration is how many other topics, projects, and initiatives are going on in the organization at the same time. This can also have an effect on the duration of phase 2. When you finish implementing phase 2, that means you have already covered 50% of all of your employees, which were 10% innovators and 40% early adopters. Since you now have collected a number of success stories and are constantly fine-tuning the program, now it's time to move on to step 3. In step 3, these are the so-called late adopters. In my experience, they make up to about 40% of the employees in your organization. These people will not jump into anything too quickly. They need time to process what is happening. They feel comfortable in their current situation and do not like to take risks. If a phone or tech gadget has been on the market for several years, they may be among the last ones to use it. The same will apply to your company's initiatives. Your task will be to identify who are the late adopters in your organization and leave them alone for the initial first 2 phases of the deployment of your initiative. If phase 2 has been successfully completed and everything is running smoothly, with people talking positively about the program and everybody sharing best practices, employee satisfaction is higher, clients notice a difference in services and products, process quality is better, team efficiency improves so that there is less overtime, then it will raise curiosity among the late adopters. After nearly 2 years of listening to success stories, they notice that the program is not going away because it is only getting stronger, gaining more popularity, and making the business environment more pleasant. Little by little, the late adopters will raise their hands and want to be part of what is happening. They too want to reduce their overtime. They too want to get rid of outdated processes and stop wasting time on non-value-added tasks. At this point, you have 90% of the organization on board and you haven't yet had to waste your energy pushing people to do something they do not want to do because you would expect something that goes against their character or on how quickly they would want to adopt a new company initiative. By the time you finish phase 3, you have 90% of the organization behind you and 2.5 to 3 years have passed. Finally, we are left with the final step. Step 4. According to my experience, roughly 10% of the organization will have fully devoted resistors regardless of the initiative, project, or program. You will always have people who will find a reason why they do not need to change. They do not like to take risks and many times are surrounded by fearful emotions. They fear that change will have a negative effect on their job stability. These emotions should not be ignored, and we can also learn from the resistors. We need to find the root cause of their resistance. Maybe they have been with the company for so long and have experienced many other programs coming and going, and they have been burned out by bad experiences. If we can point out what things didn't go well in the past, they can be our helping hand to make sure that it doesn't happen again in the current program. This is where we will fine-tune the initiative, and we should address their concerns and show that we have taken their input seriously. When they see that 90% of the organization has been using the new initiative successfully for more than 3 years, and that we have addressed the resistors and the concerns by reducing the risk of the same mistakes happening in the past, then they would not have any more excuses not to be part of the program, because it has already become part of the company culture. Here's a quick summary and wrap up with 4 do's and 4 don'ts. Let's start with the 4 do's. Do respect and accept the fact that not everyone in the organization will want to join your initiative right away. Do create an environment of experimentation and curiosity. Do implement your program gradually so that there is as little resistance as possible. Do follow the 4 stages as described above, and do not forget that the feedback from the resistors can be taken at any point of time throughout the first 3 phases. Here are the 4 don'ts. Do not put too much pressure on everyone to be on board from the beginning, because the more pressure you put, the more resistance you will get. If there is too much pressure, then employees might even create this resistance as a reflex. Do not underestimate the feedback and the reasons behind the resistance. Do not try to cut the timeline short if your organization needs 1 year per stage. Do not extend each phase too long either, because you do not want to lose momentum. It is crucial to find the right balance of the speed that you're going to go forward with your initiative. And finally, don't forget that we are doing this for the employees and for the end customers. In the show notes, you will find a link to a downloadable PDF with the learning nuggets and simple action points. You can choose the action points that best fit to your current situation and evaluate whether it brought you value. Feel free to let me know how it went. Your feedback is important for my team and me, so we can continuously improve the value we provide, as we want to give you the most from each episode. Please rate, subscribe, send in your comments, and share with those who you think could profit from this episode. It's very much appreciated, and I'm grateful for your messages. I am also a work in progress, and I'm striving to do things better every day. Investing in yourself is the best investment. Therefore, if you are interested in finding out more about courses and certification programs that were designed for you as a manager to further boost your business excellence initiative, then please go to the Courses for Managers tab in our company website. On the other hand, if you want to further develop your employees and perhaps your high performers so that they can bring even more value to the company and learn new skills and methods for solving process issues, then please select Courses for Employees tab on our website www.wave-bef.com. I hope this episode brought you value and you were able to have a couple of takeaways. Thank you, stay tuned, and see you soon in the next episode.